is Jessica. How did it feel to watch that?
Gosh, it's very exciting, nerve-wracking, strange, all sorts of emotions. I'd like to thank Mark for creating a wonderful tribute. He would have been so good. And I'd like to thank David Bradley for playing my role. That was so wonderful. I think it's a wonderful piece about the origins of an amazing television program, but also captures everything about what television is like when it's now. It's wonderful. Hearing feel the bits of it, and also it's almost a bit of a love letter to Television Centre.
Yes, please.
I can't get away with pretending I'm younger because I was 6 when it was created and I can't fake that really. It's a wonderful feeling because my memories of my grandfather were all bound up with Doctor Who, so it's very evocative of my childhood and how wonderful to have a great young actress they need. And very confusing for everyone. My real name's Judy. My professional name's Jessica, just in case you've been coming across them. Trying to get that in. What's your name? That's all I can say. Lots of mixed emotions.
Mark, I know that this is something that you wanted to get to the screen for 96 long time. In a way, I suppose this is much about recreating something that's been in your preoccupations and your fantasies for a long time too. And like raising ghosts, I guess, when you're recreating those sets, bringing in media to repopulate them.
As you can imagine, it was full of ghosts. The strange thing is, because I'm a John Pertwee child, this is before my time, but I grew up with the story, like a bedtime story, from the making of Doctor Who, all those things. It was like a fairy story. This is how it came together. These very unlikely people came together, and nobody liked the Daleks, and all these little stories that were like Holy Writ, you know. And I always thought it would just be a fantastic story to tell, and it's just kind of come together at the right time. But it was replete with the most incredible things. Just stepping onto Dave Arrowsmith designed this amazing reproduction of the TARDIS for the first time. I actually had to stuff my scarf in my mouth. So excited. And then, you know, William Russell and Carol Ann Ford coming to the set. On the David recorded that bit from the massacre when he breaks down. It was extraordinary. It was like seeing a series of mirrors reflecting the past. And those cameras, as you can see, which are from '63 or thereabouts, providing a monitor feed which is exactly the same as it would have been, and it was just so spooky. But it was incredibly happy thing. I mean, it's born of love, and I hope it shows in every frame.
David, what did you discover about this man who you played? Because I think you talked to Jessica, didn't you? Jessica came to the set and showed you some of William Hartnell's bits and pieces.
Yes. First of all, I'd just like to say thanks to the audience tonight for that wonderful response to the whole thing. I was quite overwhelmed, and it's the first time I've seen it, so don't expect much sense. But yes, well, when I'm young enough to remember William Hartnell as Doctor Who, and but I was already aware of him in films like This Sporting Life and Brighton Rock, and that he was one of our great British character actors. And I recently caught up with The Way Ahead, which I'd never seen, and all three of these roles, and the terrific roles, and he was so different in each one of them, and he was a true character actor. So I was aware of when Mark asked me to do it, I felt there was a sense of responsibility to do justice to him, not only as a man, but as an actor. I was sent several DVDs of him performing in various episodes of Doctor Who, and the very first pilot that was scrapped, I managed to get hold of that as well and see how he managed, in a very subtle way, no grandstanding, just to subtly change his performance from being too harsh, crotchety and unsympathetic to playing this whimsical, slightly teasing, enjoying winding up the other characters in the scene, rather than just being aggressive with them. And he could have changed his performance completely. Many actors would have done, but he did it just so subtly. So I really admired him. And of course, I had access to Jessica's book, which helped me enormously in terms of learning about his childhood, his background, all the things that made him a very complex man. And it made him more and more interesting as a character. But of course, Mark's script mined all those contradictions and complexities in his nature, and so I was very grateful, because it makes the job so much easier when you've got all this help, so you're not starting from absolute scratch with a fictitious character. And it was an absolute pleasure discovering the part with all that help. So yeah, so I had plenty of clues along the way. And when Mark first asked me to do it, not far from here actually, on the roof of the National Theatre, we were watching the Queen's flotilla. Well, we weren't actually. We couldn't see a thing. The Queen. No. And it was a horrible day, but then Mark tapped me on the shoulder and asked me to do this. And normally one would say, on the rare occasions that one is asked to do something without having to tout for it, I said yes very quickly in case he changed his mind.
But Sasha, you had the man himself to talk to discuss all of this with. How was that?
I was going to say, I was there as well on that day.
Yes, you were right next. I remember.
I started talking about my auditions a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, I mean, I was quite intimidated, first of all, because you're stepping into the whole kind of Doctor Who world. And I came to see the Unearthly Child here at the BFI. Mark invited me. And after he said, "Oh, do you want to meet Waris?" And I was like, "Oh." And it was, and I met Waris, face to face, and we struck it off straight away. I think his first thing was, "You're gonna have to work on your RP." But it was great. I mean, it was so useful. I was just genuinely interested in his life as well, not just his career at the BBC, but what he did after. And Waris has got a wealth of information, boxes and boxes. He's got the scripts still from which he worked from, his notes, the lines he cut, the shots, and it was great, and to know exactly as well how he works and putting it together as well.
Terry, making a drama about TV production 50 years ago, what kind of sense did it give you of what circumstances those people were working on? Was making Adventure in Space and Time anything like making Doctor Who? I think they have more money than we do. Maybe a bit more time.
Yeah, but no, it must have been incredibly hard for them in the studio, and they couldn't stop recording, and they had to. It was almost as live. So when they do it, that's it. They have a few things, 10 minutes, and off they go, no stop.
It was quite like it, though, wasn't it? There were lots of things where you would just think, well, they could do this 50 years ago, why can't we do it today? No, we can't do that, Chief. And there were lots of things that, obviously, I wanted to recreate as many missing episodes as possible. And you just couldn't afford
so fascinating. Mark did have a twinkle in his eye quite often, but he echo the recreated. So, I said at one point, just lock the doors and we'll do Marco Polo. Come on!
You used to period equipment, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah, we brought the little cameras in and we took feeds from those cameras into our monitors and also written monitors that have been reconditioned by you. What's the name of the company? Matt Strevens is here. What's the name of the company?
Golden Age.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, Golden Age has done a fantastic job.
Dickie Howard.
Dickie Howard. Yeah, and also we reproduced pretty much shot-to-shot sort of episodes as you saw of composition, everything. Boris, you did the original thing. Did it look real, Boris?
Yes.
Thank you, Boris.
So were there things that you couldn't get to the screen?
Yeah,
What's the version?
I know this is terrible. We're already nostalgic
Yeah.
for a program we haven't seen. Very nice to do that. There was one thing I really fought for forever, and there was it actually went mostly because I thought it was getting too sad. And I thought there's too many goodbyes. There was a goodbye scene for Ian and Barbara. There were just too many of them. But there was one scene that I thought perfectly summed up the whole idea of what it was facing, which was dissolution. And it's a bit from the Dalek Master Plan, the end of the Dalek Master Plan, which is missing at the moment. In it, Jean Marsh plays Sarah Kingdom, short-lived companion, is running back to TARDIS, and she's hit by the time destructor, the Dalek time destructor, and she ages to death. And my plan was, I asked Jean, and she consented to do it. We're going to have a 25-year-old actress playing Jean Marsh, and then the time destructor hits her, and she turns around, and it's Jean Marsh! And we couldn't afford it. Couldn't afford the jungle. But Jean, as you saw, Jean popped up anyway in the class. There are lots of things like that which were very difficult to say goodbye.
And what about the
You can't have everything.
What about the writing process? Docking was the work of hundreds of people. You presumably had to think very hard about who we were even going to see. Who was going to
That
represent
was
this.
genuinely the biggest challenge, obviously. Taking off my anorak, which is almost impossible, is to narrow it down. And it really, that all kinds of things. There was a draft where Sydney was walking down the corridors of TV Centre, and behind him there were about 100 people, names, Bobby, Fletcher, Bunny Weber, Donald Wilson, and eventually they just sort of resolved into I thought it just didn't work, and eventually you just got to go for it and say you can't have everyone. And really the only survivor of that was the line Verity has in the Chinese restaurant. She says, if we were to talk about everybody, we'd be here all day. That's the truth of it. But that's why you've got a website going live with the show, which has a massive timeline, really to say thank you to all these amazing David Whittaker. I mean, it kills me not to have David Whittaker. Mervyn Kinsfield had to sort of absorb his role. You can't, in a 90-minute drama, you can't really say script editor, associate producer. These things are of technical interest, not wrong.
And what was it like for you to visit the set, Jessica, to assist?
Oh,
Yes. Was there anything that you brought to it? Any information that you supplied?
No idea. But I wrote biography of my grandfather 18 years ago, which used to come out again now, because so many people asked about it. I mean, I don't really know whether there was a program before Doctor Who that had quite such a fan following. I mean, I don't know whether it's the first one, but the fan mail that arrived was just vast. And again, I'm sort of impressed copying merchandise. And I think that feeds together. So because there was merchandise, it grew the fan base, and the fan base grew the merchandise, as it were. And we'll get letters from every member of a class at school, and it was just really neat. So there was so much to write about. I visited the set on 6, so many improvements in an era when I think people took risks. I think there was something magic about 1960. National Theatre celebrating scripted numbers. Innovation, the brain. I mean, having Verity and Morris, he was so young, so experienced, and it is quite magic that what they created, maybe it took that leap of faith they captured the scientists. The whole thing was just, thereby the skin of their teeth sort of grew. But the soon everyone was running around exterminating everything like that. That was wonderful.
There's a lovely sense in the film section of there being this conspiratorial relationship between Boris and Verity, these two outsider figures within the institution of the BBC.
Yeah, definitely. I think Morris was quite well mentioned to me that they hit it off straight away. You know, they formed, they were working together, but there was, as you can see in that first scene, she just gets it. And I think also it was so nice for Morris to see another person in the building. I think he could, you know, could look up to her as well. And I think after when Morris left, you know, him and Verity were still friends for a very long time. Is that right, Warren?
Yes.
Terry, what is the responsibility to have an expertise like this? Because this is the most over-examined piece of television history that exists.
Can I say to the audience that I've been to many, many screenings, but I've never been to a screening where the audience is so engaged with what we're watching. So thank you so much for that. However, thank you very much. Coming here tonight, I don't know about the others, but I'm scared it's difficult. We might get lynched on the way out. we still might. Some people didn't get in. Yeah, a big responsibility. I'm a John Pertwee child as well, so the responsibility, I think, as a director came down to trying to find a magic in this film that I found as a kid in my chance of staying in Liverpool for 40 minutes, however it was.
With that Doctor Who annual.
Not with that very Doctor Who annual, yeah. And it escaped, you know, straight after Frank Boff and the score. Pictures. Yeah, that was important to me.
So you're a kind of an insider rather than an outsider. So you're not coming in and observing this weird phenomenon people in obsession with Doctor Who. You're kind of caught in the circuit of it yourself. A bit like
I've been in America for a long time, so I was in Liverpool, so I know. And also it's not very often you get a period script, a period film to me with such contemporary relevance. Quite unique. And a lot of people still look at it today, what those people wanted 20 years ago. So thanks very much.
Mark, it's just the beginning of a 12-part.
I think there's something very special about this. Right? That's the thing. I think, you know, people said, quite genuinely said to me, why don't you remake the missing episodes? So, well, that's not the point, is it? I mean, it's amazing. The skill of the cast. They look so like it's amazing, but it's not the same. Oh, right. But equally, to do the Patrick Troughton story or like that, you could do it, but it's just something very special about the beginning of anything like this. You know, there are obviously fascinating, sometimes turbulent periods within Doctor Who's history, but this to me is the story, because I think it's, Stephen said, watching the first episode, it's all there. Everything that's in the show today is still in the first episode, and that idea that Jessica says of these people sort of accidentally creating something magic is to me the story. I mean, we know what the beginning of the Patrick Troughton story is. There's a fascinating story there about Patrick Troughton's 3 families. But I'm not going to tell that.
I think it's probably time to the audience. We have roving mics. trained BFI staff. Keep your hand up. The microphone will come to you. Yes, there's one down there, and let's set another one on this side.
This could only have been made by someone who loved Doctor Who, so thank you. It was amazing. Was there any point during the process when you thought, I've lost objectivity, I can't make this decision, I love it too much?
No, I mean, you know, if it was about Z-Cars, I would have approached it with a clearer head. I was determined. Really, really important to me was that it was a human drama. The reason there are lots of references to King Lear and other things in it that have that sort of feel. I wanted it to be about change. That's what fascinates me. Doctor Who came about because of change. Sidney Newman was a fantastic breath of fresh air, and Morrison, Verity, newness, and then actually weirdly it was change that sort of did the film. But then of course his great gift to the programme was the fact he changed. So that to me was fascinating. But I really wanted it to be a human drama. So essentially the story is we're all replaceable. And I think you could watch that without ever having to see Doctor Who and be affected by it. If you've been affected by anything.
When's the anniversary of Z-Cars?
Yes, another. Yes, on the front row. Let's get the mic down there. Maybe let's get another one over here. Yes, one on the one.
Just wanted to say how wonderful that was. Sorry, I'm probably going to answer my question, but it ended in a really funny way. Were you tempted to do anything from the Three Doctors and sort of him being asked to return and that sort of thing?
It's funny you say that. Yes, I did plan. The original ending was going to be sort of Super 8 footage of the Three Doctors photo shoot from the Radio Times. We couldn't afford that. However, what I could afford was to hire my own costume. And on the most stressful day of filming, get dressed up as John Burke and walk onto the set. Just to the point that the TARDIS, for the only time, broke. Stayed in maximum tension. My whole started. It was filming. Photographed through it. Wonderful. Terry just went, nice timing, Mark. It's there, I'll show you. Yes. Yes.
Hello, thank you all so much for that. That was brilliant. I just wondered, Jessica, how you felt when the interview of your grandfather was recently discovered. How emotional that must have been for you.
Okay, it's kind of a curious piece because it's I don't think it's the most sympathetic interviewer. It's at an odd time when an actor's trying to get ready to go on stage. It wasn't at the happiest time of my grandfather's life, but how amazing that a piece has been done. I'm used to seeing my grandfather on screen, so maybe it's not so odd for me as it would be for other people. But don't forget, kind of every Saturday I sat with my grandfather on screen. So I'm used to the idea of seeing a family member on the screen. It's kind of what I would have expected. I don't suppose there anything else will ever be found. I wish they had a Desert Island Disc that he did, because there's a transcript of it, but there's no recording of it. Someone sent me a recording of a very, very early radio play he did, which was kind of stranger to listen to, because it was a much more period piece, and vocally it was different. Because there's such a difference in speech style. By the 60s, it was slightly less effective than it is. You know, it was lovely to see it. Curious. But maybe not so bizarre if you come from family where there was.
What struck me though, just was how much it emphasised what a performance the Doctor is.
Yeah.
Because it's a very moving piece. I think, as you said, the timing was uncanny. nothing and suddenly he's arrived. 2 months after he left the show. But he's there, he's wiry like a jockey. And then you see him as the Doctor, and he's so, towards the end, he's so sparkly and spry, different. You think that's a really great performance.
You made use of those films. You should say that it was a BBC interview done about local news that turned up out on DVD. You're right, the questions are vicious. It's not a kind
It's not
interview.
as sympathetic. Yes, I have slightly mixed feelings about it because it is the start of it is it goes straight into something where something sounds as if it's been said to Miles because I know he had a difficult reputation. I mean, there are lots of reasons why he was difficult towards the end of his life. I think when he was younger, he had a brilliant ability to memorize. Weekly rep, weekly review. One of the things he tried to do something was his ability to memorize. And I think that for anyone for whom that is an important part of their life, their career, to lose the facility to learn lines must be devastating, and I'm sure was part of his responsibility for his although no one knew it was a great joke as well. So, but I think that the interview happened at a time of his life when he was at his most insecure, giving up a role like that, and coming to terms with the fact that maybe you're losing your facility for learning life must be a devastating time. And there's also a couple of questions in there, do you see your future as
Pantomime.
I mean, for someone who played the kind of roles he was, the words were chosen to slightly get a rise out of my grandfather, I think. But hey, it's the only, I realise that it's the only existing interview. So of course it's of interest. But it needs to be seen in context of him being actually quite vulnerable at the time about moving on from a role that was, already he could see it was iconic. It was a role he adored. I think he saw the potential for it because it was, as I said earlier, it was a zeitgeisty thing. It was space travel. Suddenly, the world seemed a new, brilliant place in the 60s. So I think that it was a difficult time for him. But hey, it's a school history.
We have time for just a couple more before the yearometer is round to zero. There was one, wasn't there one up there? Yeah, somebody has a microphone already, then we'll come down to you.
Hi, question for Mark. As fans of the show, we tend to see like the regeneration as a massively positive thing. Like, it's exciting. It's the reason why the show was able to carry on in the first place. But in this, you managed to give it much more poignancy than I think a lot of us have thought about before. Sort of, when and how did it occur to you to sort of flip it in that way and look at it in a more, not exactly downbeat, but certainly that more poignant way?
Well, as I say, the story's always fascinated me. So it felt to me that Bill having to give up this part, you could only imagine what it would be like. I mean, up until the moment he changed, he was very much an era to have that in mind. There is an alternative universe as well, and that's been around for about 5 years. That could have happened if he'd been able to carry on. So it seemed to me that the moment of change was a devastating thing for him. So we think about it going on there, the whole thing carrying on, but I wanted to make it a very personal human drama. This for him is the moment where it all stops. And one of the most poignant things in that difficult interview is the fact that he says, the interviewer says, do you think you'll ever follow it, top it? And he says, yes, by making a success in something else. And he must have known because of his illness that it wasn't going to happen. I think that's terribly sad. But I mean, overall, I wanted it to be very much a celebration, not any kind of hatchet job. So it's very sad story, but it's also very uplifting, which is why it's a kiss to the future in the end. Snog, really.
Let's have this one here, then there might be time for one more.
I
It is.
Firstly, it's a beautiful piece. I applaud the directing. And secondly, you mentioned briefly earlier that it's kind of a love story of the BBC Centre. I wondered if you'd like to expand on that, all of you, if you've had input into BBC, looking back at the past.
Being in television centre, were you the last drama to be in there?
It's amazing. It all kind of, another spooky thing, the last drama filmed there.
We had lots of trouble getting in.
Of course, it was exactly the same.
Then we could do what we want in there, no one cared.
We were at one point they were guarding an empty building, but still with the same efficiency as they did. We completely transformed the whole of the fifth floor back to but I mean, it's a building. And it's full of memories for everyone who ever worked there.
Heartbreaking in a way. It wasn't walking around those corridors that way.
But it's not being sort of stupid to be nostalgic about it, because it was an incredible powerhouse. It hasn't really been fit for purpose to work. That's because the studios are too expensive to rent out. It's desperately sad. All I can say is I absolutely predict that in a few years' time, a top-level committee will say what we need is a sort of HQ near the Western. In the shape of a question.
Who wants to ask the last question? I saw a hand go up there, very briskly. So we'll come to you. If the microphone can get there quick enough. Yes, run, Sam, run.
Tom Bacon.
That was absolutely fantastic. Thank you. That was well worth the 8-hour wait in a standby queue. On television next week as well. But my question was for Jessica, who had everybody's favourite grandfather in the whole world. What was it like at the time, having to share your grandfather with so many other children?
Well, it kind of seemed normal to me because I didn't know anything else. I was young enough for the whole thing to be muddled up together. You know, I watched my grandfather on a Saturday afternoon. But I'd also, and actually it's surprising if that's your family job, career, that it doesn't seem as old. In fact, it's perfectly normal people. Lovely and eccentric as they know. They are perfectly normal people. And yeah, so it was fun and exciting, but I didn't know any different at the time. And I think there were a couple of exciting things when someone asked me for my autograph. That seemed exciting. And it was fun to get the first Dalek suits. I do remember that was fun.
We got ours off eBay.
Yeah. sadly, the original ones that we have had are disintegrated too greatly to be used in the programme. So much but that was fun and that was exciting. But I think everyone seemed to be excited by Doctor Who. I mean, because there were only 2 or 3 channels at the time, it just seemed that almost all children watched it. So it was part of life, and therefore also a big part of my life as well. So that isn't really terribly helpful, but it's when you don't know anything different, it kind of seems fun and exciting. Okay, doing all other things as well, and my granddad, great to see him on telly, but how odd, other people didn't have grandfathers on television. So because it was normal.
And there we have to end it, I'm afraid. We'll all be standing by our televisions next week, Thursday, isn't it? 9 o'clock, BBC 2.
Don't watch I'm a Celebrity.
No,